welcome to Mindfulness Lists. Complaining and resentment is the name of the next section of the book. This is a big one. Complaining and resentment. So we are on chapter 3. And as I mentioned, as Eckhart Tolle pointed out in the first section of this chapter 3, the core of the ego, that the ego, two of the main functions of the ego are identification and separation. So it's almost like they're polar opposites. Obviously, we identify with things to develop a sense of self. And then to protect that sense of self, we have separation. And separation is basically the other things that we judge as not us, or things that we perceive as not us. You know, here we are, the good guys, and there they are, the bad guys. So it's just us and them type of thing, although it's just me and them. Okay, so we're on to the next section, and I already forgot what the name it is, so let me turn on my iPad and read that again. No brain, no pain. That's my game. Complaining and resentment. So I just experienced this last week, and we do it all the time, but as I've mentioned about all the other problems that we've looked at, or not even problems, all the other human conditions, the solution almost in all cases is awareness. Just, becoming aware of these things. And I know that term is getting old, but we have to realize what's going on in order to find the solution. We have to be aware of it. We can't fall asleep within the dream. Stay awake. So last week I was talking with a friend, and this friend is going through a breakup. And I think it's human nature to think. It's human nature to feel. So it's human nature to have thoughts, and it's human nature to have emotions. Sometimes those thoughts and emotions are what we would perceive as good, and other times they are what we would perceive as bad. In this case that I was just talking about, my friend was saying some negative attributes. They just went through a breakup, and my friend was upset, about the way things went down, and had anger about it. And I think that's perfectly natural, and I think it's healthy to feel anger. Sometimes things go down, and I don't think that we should try to be saints and just be like, oh, I'm above that. I'm just gonna, if you're feeling it, it's in you. And if you don't feel something that's in you and you bury it, then it gets buried inside you, and you're going to have to feel it at a later time in your life when you're ready to face those emotions or thoughts. So I think it's healthy. Somebody does something to you, it's not preferable. Somebody, I'm not talking about somebody cutting you off on the road. I'm talking about somebody maybe lying to you, whatever, stuff that happens in relationships. Someone maybe disrespecting you in a certain way, verbal abuse. I don't know what it is, but I think it's human nature, and I think it's healthy to express, yeah, I'm angry about that. But once the little window is over of when you can express that stuff, you should be working towards remembering, what happened, that caused this. So it's good to remember things, the situation that we got ourselves in, so we don't go through them again. But it's not really good to lament on things and just sit there and stagnate in it and be angry about what happened in the past. That does not help. What the thing about our minds is, when we think about something, our mind doesn't know the difference between the past. Like when we think about something in the past and there's really a lot of emotion behind it, and we think about something, some trauma or some great thing, what happens is we start to feel like we're going through that. So you're sitting in bed and you're thinking about an argument that you had a week ago, and your heart rate starts to go up. So doing stuff like that, I'm not really into psychoanalysis because I think it's detrimental. And some people, they might need to be led through trauma of the past. Fortunately, I have had a pretty good life. So I'm not speaking for other people. I think there are many different ways to healing. But personally, I don't prefer psychoanalysis because I don't want to relive those bad times. If I think about something and it comes up naturally, I'm okay with that. But I don't want to sit with a person and talk about, problems about my childhood. When they come up, I'm aware that I'm thinking of that stuff, and I could process it and I can let it go. I could feel it and I could heal it. So back to my little story about my friend. I was talking with a friend last week, and she was angry at her ex. And I said what I said to you guys. I said, it's okay to feel anger, but, to feel it and to let that go, it's probably the most healthy thing for you. Just that stuff, when we hold on to anger, when we hold on to hate, it eats up your nervous system. Our nervous systems, they're like rubber bands. And basically, when you hold on to stress, when you hold on to hate, when you hold on to anger, when you hold on to fear, it's just like holding on to a rubber band and stretching that rubber band out. It stresses us out. And then if you hold on to it too long, what happens if you hold on to a rubber band too long is you let go of it and it's lost its elasticity. And that's what our nervous systems are like. They can withstand a finite amount of stress. And if you hold on to too much stress, it's gonna make you sick, is what's gonna happen. Something bad will happen for sure. You're gonna get sick. And nobody wants that. So my friend is holding on to this anger. And basically, when people hold on to anger, it's basically a childish type of move, because what you see in children is when they say, "Can I have a cookie?" and you say no, and they get angry. They think that their anger is going to change the situation, that for some reason, them being being angry and being a little brat and being an unhappy person is going to change the situation. That you're going to say, okay, since you're angry, I see that you're really angry, and I'm going to let you do this because I don't want to face the wrath of your anger. And that's a lose-lose situation in parenting, in friendships, in relationships. If you're grounded enough, you can hold the space, for your child, for your friend, for your coworker. Let them be angry. It's the better thing to do, because when you allow a person to do that, oh, okay, you're angry. So here, since you're angry and you're a victim, I'm going to let you go ahead and do what you want to do. It's a very childish type of thing to do. And that's what my friend was doing. Holding on to that anger and probably thinking that her anger is going to change the situation. And it's not. Probably in most situations, you're angry about something. The other person isn't even aware of it. They're in Hawaii on a vacation and you're sitting here angry, and it's doing nothing but causing you grief and probably going to make you sick in the long run. And another thing about anger is that it affects people around us. When you are not, be angry, do whatever you gotta do to let it out. Think, oh, that person's a jerk, whatever you're gonna say, use your big words and let it go. And when you can't do that, when you hold on to it, it's a toxicity and it affects people that we interact with. So you're basically polluting the world. You know, no one wants to hear about an angry thing. Yeah, of course we're friends. You know, of course you're in relationships, friendships, you know, your partners. And your partner, you know, will say to you, or your friend will say to you, or your co-workers will say to you, yeah, I'm angry about that. That sucks. And yeah, that's fine. That's natural. Talking about it in that way, you know, address it, let it go, find a solution. But to sit there and go over it and over it and over it, that's not healthy. It's not the way to move forward and to grow in life. And it affects the people around you. It's spreading that anger, that toxicity. The only person that would like to talk about something that like that, sorry for the stuttering. The only person that would like to talk about conversations about that, about being angry, about being about having hate inside them, is someone who has that energy as well. And then it just becomes this downward spiral because you just sit there, you know, sometimes in the past, you know, maybe like teenagers or something, you come together in a friendship about things you hate. Oh, I hate The Cure. Oh, I hate The Cure too. You know, it's a common thing. Sometimes people come together on things like that, things that we're against. You know, let's bond on things that we don't like. We both don't like AC/DC. Kill AC/DC. You know, that's okay to not like things. It's perfectly fine. But it's a more healthy way to approach things rather looking at solutions and finding things that we have in common rather than things that we don't like. You know, who am I to tell anybody what to do? I'm just trying to help you and help me and help whoever find more peace. So, I keep forgetting what I'm reading about. Complaining. And then this is another messed up thing about complaining. So somebody complains to you, my boss is such a blah, 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 beep. You know, that thing, you've heard that before. My boss is such a dork. And so you complain about it. And then if the other person doesn't want to hear it, like I'm talking about my friend complaining right now, then you're complaining about someone else's complaining. So it's this complete downward spiral. You know, somebody shares that toxicity with you and then you pass it on. And, you know, I'm aware of it. So I'm actually not complaining. I am just pointing out this human condition to you guys. And so to point it out, you know, sometimes people aren't ready to hear that. So it's really not going to help them. I did point this out to my friend. I said, you know, I tried to say it as sensitive as possible because she's, just going through a breakup, but it's like, really, I'm not a counselor and I don't want that toxicity. I've heard this story 3 or 4 times since she's broken up with this person. One time's okay, but I'm definitely not, somebody's counselor and I'm not somebody's enabler. So if my friends want to talk to me about problems, I'm going to offer them solutions, and I'm definitely going to call them on their BS, on their human shortcomings, on their human conditions. So another thing, that we're talking about is complaining and resentment. So as I mentioned at the start of this rant, the 2 things that, are common in all egos are identification with form and separation. So separation is kind of complementary to resentment. So when you resent something, you're like angry about what is. You know, this is an outrage. You should be doing this. You know, whatever it is, just people constantly pissed off. Oh my God, can you believe what the president's doing? And the thing that it does is it makes you right. when somebody else is wrong? And what could give you a stronger sense of self than being right? Oh, you're right. We're right. We are the true believers and they are the false believers. We need to go out and find them and we need to line them up and we need to scold each one of them. You know, what could be more ego building than resentment? And it's, you know, what I was talking about. It's about feeling right, getting a stronger sense of self. And then it's probably just it's probably just a different way of saying resentment. Resentment is a different way of saying anger, you know, that little kid thing of that your resentment is going to change anything. It doesn't change anything. Offer a solution. You know, so you're not okay with something. That's okay. Some things can't be changed and you have to accept them. There is global warming. You could be angry about it. Is that helping anything? It's not. Are you offering a solution? We'll offer a solution. Go out and buy everybody air conditioners or something like that, because being angry about it doesn't change anything. You know, marching because you're angry, it doesn't change anything. It's like, I think Mother Teresa said it, you know, she will never go to a protest against war, but she would march for peace. We need to find solutions and grow up. We need to act like adults and find solutions. We're capable of doing it. You know, it's a hard thing to probably undertake by yourself if others aren't willing to help you, but, you know, another cheesy saying, you know, there's that saying, you know, alone we could float, but together we can sail. And we definitely can sail together. When we get synchronized and we become in rapport with each other, things become much easier. I always think, like, if you were making a swimming pool, if you're going to sit there and imagine trying to make a swimming pool and you got a shovel, and you're sitting there and you stick the shovel in the ground. And that's one. Imagine how many shovelfuls of dirt that you would have to shovel in order to dig an entire swimming pool, even a small swimming pool. So imagine if you had 1,000 friends with shovels and how quick it would go, how you could just do it in one day. And when we become when we are in rapport, when we're in rapport, things are a lot easier. You know, we start sharing good information, and it's just for finding easier, better ways of doing things, and more peace. The Mayans, I was a freak about the Mayan calendar for a while, and you know, the world was supposed to end in 2012, but it didn't. Conspiracies, they're just whatever. I think there's definitely conspiracies out there, but if it doesn't improve your life and it's not going to change your life, what's the worth of it? Anyways, back to the Mayan calendar. So the Mayans, they believed in this thing called radial telepathy. And what radial telepathy was, or is when people and plants and animals are in synchronicity, something called radial telepathy arises. And it's a communication between plants, animals, and human beings. And although that's probably just a made-up thing by the Jerry Springer of the Mayans, it seems like it could be it's a good idea. You know, us just being in rapport and having certain things that we share with each other. Hey, this is an easier way to paint a house, and then we all know how to paint a house easier. Or this is a good way to communicate with your child. Or this is a good way to dispel anger. This is a good way to get anger out. This is a good way to balance your diet. And just sharing this information is so easy. Now that there's the internet, let's just share this stuff with each other. Please, you know, you got something to share with me, something to point out to me about either, you know, this This podcast is about simple health solutions. The things that I want to discuss in it are philosophy. Maybe you could call that spirituality. And I like talking about health. We could talk about diet, and I like talking about working out. I love riding a bicycle, and I love doing yoga. And I like talking about psychology as well. Simple health solutions. So if you have any solutions, if you have any tips to give me, my email is mindfulnesslists@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. If you like the podcast, please subscribe to it. And it's been great talking to you. I'll see you next time. Time is an angel or devil.